Hi, this is Magda from the wnetrzazewnetrzaofficial channel. In this episode, I'll share what I look for when choosing an apartment. Many people buy with their eyes, and when they simply like a space, other things become less important. They are willing to pay more, and they're ready to overlook various possible flaws. And that's why services like home staging work very well in our market. When we bring the apartment to such a pleasant state, there's a much greater chance that someone will buy it faster and for a higher price. However, when we are the buyers, we don't necessarily want to pay more. So it's worth looking a little deeper and searching more for the potential of a given property rather than just absorbing its atmosphere in the state it's currently in. However, there are things we should take into account right away because they simply cannot be changed. And these are things like, for example, the location. The window view can be changed. And that's also worth checking because now we might have a beautiful meadow, but in 2 years there could be, for example, the wall of a neighboring housing estate that another developer will start building any moment now, so it's worth taking such things into account. Nevertheless, the view from the window, if it's not nice at the moment, if there's another building there, or if there's a huge parking lot, the chances that these things will suddenly turn into a park, or that suddenly in a ground floor apartment in a densely built up area. More sunlight will reach the center, but you probably can't rely on that, right? So these are the basic issues that are crucial for me. Also the floor, if the apartment is high up. Of course, sometimes elevators are added in tenement houses and various old buildings, but that's still questionable. Sometimes the communities aren't interested in it at all, it's an extra cost, and sometimes it's just technically not that easy to organize in the building. So if getting to that higher floor is a drawback for us, there's nothing we can do about it later. You have to take that into account right from the start. When I pay attention to the windows, it's not just about what you can see through them, but also about what comes in through them. So how much sunlight we'll have in the apartment, whether the windows face north, south, east, or west. It creates a completely different atmosphere in the apartment. And it's also worth considering when the floor is right, the view is right, the location is right, and we're thinking about the space inside. It's worth using your imagination if there are a lot of furniture and belongings from the previous residents inside. Don't look at that. I know it's not that simple, but seriously, it's really worth using your imagination. You can ask for a floor plan of the apartment with dimensions and try to create that space in some design software. It can be a simple online planner from a furniture store and see how much fits in there, what the space looks like in a 3D visualization. Because once you take out all those built-in wardrobes, wall units, and sofa beds, it might turn out that it's not such a cramped room after all. It could be a very spacious room with a completely different arrangement. The kitchen is made up of various separate elements, a freestanding refrigerator, a standalone stove, and cabinets that aren't connected by a countertop. It may seem difficult to arrange and hard to plan out, but that's not necessarily the case. Take a closer look at the dimensions, the layout, and the arrangement of the walls. Is this kitchen square? Does it have any alcoves? Where are the pipes that can't be moved? Or maybe they can just be easily covered up? It doesn't matter what the space looks like at this moment. What matters is its potential. However, there are some things that we just can't get around in an interior because you can do almost anything inside, but it's almost anything, not everything. And even load-bearing walls can sometimes be modified to create an opening in them or almost completely removed, leaving only reinforcements under the ceiling. Yes, we probably won't be moving chimneys, so if there's a shaft somewhere, we just have to accept that we can't do anything in that spot. If we have risers, we just have to live with them. Usually it's not too problematic when it comes to creating a nice arrangement, but it's worth taking into account. So if we dream of having a kitchen or bathroom in a place completely far from the pipes, well, unfortunately, I think we have to say goodbye to that idea. So the placement of all the connections, the location of load-bearing walls, windows, the view from the windows, the floor, the location, and the overall atmosphere of the building. And when I say atmosphere, I don't really mean the atmosphere itself, but more the neighborhood, because we can't move the neighbors either, and sometimes there are all sorts of boozy parties going on in the apartment next door. Not only noise comes from there, but also unpleasant smells. And we don't necessarily actually want to live in a place like that. And until that changes, well, not really. It's a choice for now because we really won't have any influence on it in the end. One more thing I pay attention to in order to be able to reduce renovation costs after the purchase. And it's about elements like, for example, floors and installations. If the electrical installation was replaced a few years ago, it will definitely save us a lot of work, as long as we don't plan any completely major changes in the apartment. If the windows have already been replaced, that's probably a plus too. And of course, what is a plus for some may be a minus for others. Because maybe someone would prefer to buy a place with the original windows and replace them with ones in a color they've always dreamed of. Because you can buy windows with different colors on the inside and outside. And of course, I encourage you to pay attention to this because in some buildings, how the window looks from the outside really matters. When all the windows are white and one neighbor adds brown ones, it looks unprofessional. They could have made them brown inside and matched the building's exterior or vice versa. All the windows in the building are dark, then suddenly someone installs white ones. Please don't do that. I know it may raise costs, but the building's appearance matters to all of us. So let's maintain it equally, just like installations or floors. Just because something is new doesn't mean it's exactly how we like it, so whether it's a plus or a minus, we have to judge that very individually. It sounds now as if I buy something, like I bought another apartment last month, but of course that's not the case. However, I often give advice when buying, and I go to various showings. I used to work as a real estate agent, so that's why I'm just sharing my experience, and now I'm saying goodbye to you. I hope you're already subscribing to Wnętrza ze Wnętrza. Also remember about our store at wnetrzazewnetrzaofficial, where you can also find our book Polish Interiors. See you next time. Bye.